Can the world oppose the deadliest of foes? Cobra. Joes will risk it all to end the evil call of Cobra. They never give up, they never say die. Walking tall with banners high, they sound the battle cry.
G.I. Joe, the Real American Headcast, is the code name for Aaron's daring, highly trained headcast. Its purpose? To podcast about G.I. Joe, Fighting Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world.
Fighting for freedom wherever there's trouble, we're letting the sea and retreat! G.I. Joe! G.I. Joe is there! G.I. Joe!
Hey, Joe's brother Ed here. Sorry, running a little late this morning, or this afternoon. I get lunch going and just running behind. But anyways, here I am. And I see that Joe Jackson's also joined us. I guess he was here way earlier than I was. Thanks for showing up, Joe. And anyone else out there in the chat. First off, before I get started, I want to say this episode is sponsored by our Patreons, Big Daddy Cool and Sean Adams. Apparently I had Sean Adams' name wrong on the Patreon listing, so I apologize for that. But oops, pull that back up. There we are. Big Daddy Cool and Sean Adams. Thank you both very much. Also in the chat, we have Heinz Koch joining us. Hey, Heinz, glad you could join us, man. But as usual, I am not alone. Today I've got, well, my regular cohorts, or most of them at least. We have, just one second while I do things the right way somewhat. We have Kevin Ryder, Kevin Reitzel, a.k.a. Raider. Kevin, thank you for joining us, man. Glad you could be here.
How's it going? And it's a very early morning for me, as I am not in my home studio in Santa Barbara, California, usually. I am from someone else's side, also my wife's side. I'm in Australia right now, Melbourne, Australia. Very early in the morning, but happy to be here.
Well, I'm glad that you could get up early in the morning and join us. I appreciate your, even across the country, you're still able to join us for the joke.
Yes, yeah. It's so weird, though, not being near all my Joe comics and, like, being able to pull stuff aside and everything. So I've had to do everything digitally thanks to your help to even read the freaking comic this week, you know?
Anytime, my friend. Excuse me. And since we're in Australia, let's go ahead and continue. And also joining us is David.
He just smiled and gave me a Vegemite sandwich. And he said, I come from a land down under.
David, glad you could join us, man.
Yo, Joe. Hello, everybody. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited that Kevin's in the same time zone as me, getting a taste of what it's like to be an Aussie, linking up with the US. And on a more serious note, I know we come from all different stripes, but I want to say God bless America and thank you, President Trump, for your swift, decisive action. So I just want to make a serious comment there, just to kick the show off, that we're very appreciative of the American effort.
Dave, I can only see half your face, man.
Oh, sorry. Here I am.
There you go.
No lights.
I was being serious, so I was being very somber, so you sort of missed the somberness. But excited to be here and always glad to see you, Aaron, with only one arm operational at the moment.
Yes. Still Still broken hand.
Jesus.
Still casted up right now. So
Wow, you poor guy. I feel sorry
yeah,
for
you
you.
know, teach me to get in those cockfights. I mean, anyways, I don't think I was doing it the right way though. Anyways, also joining us, we have our friend Brad Abraham.
Now let me take a wild guess here. You're Brett, right?
Yeah.
I thought so. Check out the big brain on Brad.
Even got an opening for you, Brad. Check that out. Glad you could join us, Brad.
Brad's on mute. He doesn't realize it.
He just doesn't want to talk to
I would say, yeah, I was on mute. Thank you for that intro, as always. Well, I would like to point out that there's a really great mid-period song by the Kinks called "Celluloid Heroes." If you feel like adding that to my theme track at some point,
Yes.
you can certainly do that. But
By the
the
Kinks. I'll have to
Pulp
look that
Fiction intro is always welcome, because if it wasn't that, it was going to be the Fast Times at Ridgemont High one. And if we know the unfortunate circumstances of Mr. Brad Hamilton, who I did get to meet in real life once, Fast Times, Phoebe Cates, swimming pool. I'll say no more. Thanks for having
There
me.
you go. Good.
I'm familiar with that Kinks song, Brad. Excellent song, man.
Yes.
Good,
yes.
good
And-
drop there.
And I'm familiar with that Phoebe Cates scene. So thank you very much for that.
So am I, actually. To be honest, I'm very familiar with that scene. so-
But we're gonna be clear here that Phoebe Cates scene is not how Aaron broke his arm, right?
No. No, of course
Contributed.
not. Of course
years of damage.
not. And from this chat, we have Hines saying that it's strange with no G.I. Joe 43 behind Kevin. Yes,
I know.
Not his home studio. It's
Yeah, I'm actually in my mother-in-law's studio where she used to teach music and stuff. She's a singer, and she has like a piano back here. There's no G.I. Joe stuff behind me. Damn it!
so you bring some with you and then prop it behind you when you you're doing the show.
No. Should be prepared next time.
So like I said, we had Joe has been in the chat for like half an hour before the show started waiting. Joe
Hungry.
Jackson. Thank you very much, Joe. Hines is there. Hines is there. And
What's up,
also
Hines?
Dave Martell with the G.I. Joe RPG stories.
What's up, Dave?
So glad you guys. Thank you guys very much for joining us. I appreciate having you guys in the studio audience watching. But today we're here talking about some G.I. Joe. Before I get there, yeah. So as I said previously, normally on the third Friday of the month, I do my unboxing shows. That's currently on hold due to this thing. It's hard for me to open up boxes. Plus, I had to use up most of my leave due to this, so I don't have much leave left at work. So I'm going to probably hold on for the rest of the year, maybe start back up next year. But I think everyone that joined in for those unboxing videos I was doing, I enjoy doing that. And I'll get back to it when I can.
You should get one of your kids to assist.
Yeah, I've got a 10-year-old with
Thank you.
ADHD and autism, so
that's
probably not
harsh.
the best to open up my boxes and keep
Fair enough,
things
man.
without breaking.
Hey, just
And then
putting
I got
ideas out there, man.
Oh
Just
no,
putting
definitely. Yeah.
ideas out
I got a 17-year-old daughter that, yeah, she's got much better things to do. At one point, yeah, she would have loved to help out, but yeah, now
Sure.
she's much too cool to hang out with Dad on his podcast. So
17, yeah, she's like, no thanks. Got places to be.
yeah, even just a room. But anyways, we're going to talk about G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe.
Issue 65.
Yep.
This was cover dated. Let me go ahead and do things the right way. Pull up my slides. There we go. This was cover dated November of 1987. The on sale date, August 11th, 1987. Cover price was $1. The title of this was called Shuttle Complex. Written as usual by Larry Hama. Penciler, Ron Wagner. Inker, Randy Emberland. Letterer, Joseph Rosen. Colorist, Bob Schran. Editor, Bob Harris. And the cover on this one was done by Mike Zeck and Bob McLeod.
Well, it's a Zek. No baby, but Zek. So it's great.
So I had to throw that in there since
Good.
Jared
I was
Taylor-
I was waiting for that.
So I set up a little clip there to play along. Just to help people out. People just watching YouTube live get a little entertainment. I've also got one for when it's Mike, Zach, and Beatty. But and yeah, Heinz, being the great guy he is, has offered to unbox my toys for me. So thank you, Heinz. I appreciate the offer.
He also means that he'll keep them as well.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sure that's part of it. Yeah, that's
yeah.
That's part of the deal. Yeah.
One for you, one for me.
One for you, two for me. Oh, I know how it goes. So the cover of this one, we have the Defiant space shuttle with an astronaut floating in the air. Up behind them comes a Cobra space shuttle, flying around a planet. I'm not sure that's supposed to be the moon or if that's... Yeah, I believe it's the moon is coming around. So let's get some thoughts on this. Kevin, what are your thoughts on this issue?
So my initial thoughts on this when you mentioned this episode, I was like, oh, okay, this issue. And we'll obviously discuss the issue a little more in detail. But the cover itself has always been one that's kind of fell flat for me. And when I didn't realize, and I was figuring out, like, okay, who did this? I was like, oh, it's Mike Zeck. Ugh. But then I realized he's the penciler. So, and the inker's Bob McLeod.
Right.
Now, I think the reason why I'm not a big fan of this particular issue cover is the coloring and the inkering. Basically, it's too dark. I would have liked to have seen if that's the moon. I wish that the colorer, because I don't think Zeck the penciler could have had any take on this. Is that there should have been like light from the sun, the unseen sun, to showcase if that's the moon or if that's Earth. And it looks like it's the moon, and it's just a dark thing. And also the I like the concept of the Cobra ship, whatever it is, firing, of course, on the helpless astronaut there that's in front of the shuttle. But the shuttle's kind of covered up a little bit, so I don't know. I wish there was more lighting in this, more definition in the lighting than what we had here. It's not my favorite cover, I'll be honest with you.
And Dave, thoughts on this cover?
Yeah, not similar to what Kevin's saying. Not my favorite cover. It's okay. Obviously, I mean, it's not terrible. I like the things I do like about it. The space shuttle, I think, looks really good. It's just a little bit dark and gloomy, and I'm not a big fan of actually those blast effects when I'm looking at it closely. I do really like the Cobra spaceship, but unfortunately you don't really see it at its fullest potential here on the cover. So I get what they're going for. I mean, it's a space issue, which I think is important to sell on the cover, if you know what I mean. But yeah, not my favorite cover, if I'm brutally honest.
And Brad, do you have positive things to say about this cover?
Do I have positive things or just things?
Okay, what are your thoughts on this cover? I'm just checking.
It's interesting. I mean, the truth is, yeah, Kevin, it is strange that there's no G.I. Joe 43 behind you, because I could have used that as an illustration of the tonal shift or groin pull, if you will, between covers of G.I. Joe over the course of the run. On the one hand, you have issue 43, the Grim Reaper with the M60. You have the Snake Eyes origin stories, and you have Silent Interlude. And on the other hand, you have this one, which is G.I. Joe in space. And I can kind of remember going to my local comic book store at the time, and I was kind of drifting away from G.I. Joe, but I was still buying it, mostly just because I had all the issues by that point, and it wasn't quite ready to leave the world. I couldn't quite stop right there, so I was kind of just buying it out of loyalty and out of I guess respect to the fact that I've been collecting the book for many years by that point, and I didn't want to really stop. So when I went in and they had the issue, the first thing I saw was the logo, and I picked it up, and then I looked at the cover, and I was like, oh, they're going into space in this one. So that kind of checked my expectations a little bit, but that we'll get into that in the issue. I agree with everything that Kevin and Dave said. I feel like if there was another angle, I want to say, on this one, if they'd taken a look at the sketch, the pencils, and went, this isn't quite working, because I look at it and it's not really selling anything that I would say is G.I. Joe. If you lopped the G.I. Joe logo and everything off of it, it just looked like some generic
Good point.
Yeah, like there's no Cobra emblem or anything on the spaceship. The spaceship on the cover looks vastly different from the one in the book. This looks like a squashed little insect
Yeah,
guy.
agreed, man.
And you don't even see the GI Joe logo on the shuttle, so it's kind of just it's sort of slapped together. It's like they searched on the internet, pre-internet, and said, "Give me a quick generic cover of a spaceship firing on another space shuttle and an astronaut in trouble." Or if it was now, they'd get an AI to draft or complete a really crappy, weird-looking cover with the astronaut having 6 fingers.
Hey, maybe that should be a new segment in this series, actually, Aaron. Brad has a good idea. Is like take these covers and then throw them into an AI generator and see what AI would think of it. Because Brad, I guarantee you the AI version of this would be a lot better.
It might.
It probably would. Yeah.
But it's fine for what it is. I picked up the issue. This is the original issue.
Awesome.
That I have with me, and it's been with me.
Is that from the 80s, man? Did you buy that in the 80s?
I bought this in the 80s. I bought it fresh off the rack at the Comic Cave. It's a comic store.
That is great, dude. That is great, man.
In Brockville, Ontario. So it's been with me ever since. So
did you fold it? Did you fold it in half?
Never.
Okay.
Not after you read me out for it and sent me those angry letters. And Kevin sent me a letter that had been cut out of like little newspaper headlines of "Don't ever fold your comics like that again, or you die." And I'm like, "Oh, Kevin sent me a letter. He was trying to be anonymous, but I'm like, well, who else would send me this other than Kevin Reitzel?" So
foiled.
Brad, I've got a question. With your old comics, do you actually bag and board those or something when you're don't have them out for thing? How do you store them?
I do, and for a time they were slight digression here. They were just in bags. I hadn't actually boarded them, and I hadn't actually done all of them. But then when I still lived in New York, at one point, my then 1.5-year-old child got into them and started doing what would have horrified Kevin, which is grab them and kind of twist them. I'm like, nope. Dad's gonna take this away from you, and then I thought to myself, I need to get some bags and boards. I need to get padlocks to put them in the closet so the kid can't get into them.
If I was in the home studio, I would have my issue from a bag and boarded. They're all bag and boarded, and then I always pull it out to read it and smell the comic.
You can see the board. I got the bag and board right here. So
well done.
It'll go back in after that, and it'll go into the hermetically sealed vault and not come out again probably.
Awesome.
Yeah. I don't have the issue with me right now. It's still in the box because it's hard to pull it out. So I just bring it online or my digital version of it. But as far as the cover, I agree with everything you guys have said. It's not a great cover.
I'm not blaming Zach. I'm not blaming Zach.
I don't know whose concept it was, and I said that was the Defiant. That may just be a space shuttle behind it. That may not be actually the Defiant.
Yeah.
Which brings it down even more for me. Yeah, there's no real Joe elements on here. You guys were saying so. Something about this cover it's never struck me as a great cover. I've never been a fan of it overall. So I think we're all pretty much in the same boat. So let's go ahead and get some numberings on this. 1 to 5 Yo-Jo Colas. 1 being this is crap. 3 being the average rating, and 5 being like issue 43. So you want to hang on your wall. Let's go in reverse order. Brad, what would you give this?
It's not going to be a 1 or crap because Raptor's not on the cover. So, I'm going to give this one. I'm going to give this one a 2 for reasons already stated. It gets a 2.
Dave,
I'll go 2.5 because I've just got to give a passing grade to all the JoJo covers. I'll give it a 2.5.
And also, anyone in the chat, if you want to give your numbers, go ahead and throw them out there. I can read them off in the air. Kevin, 1 to 5 Yo-Jo Colas.
I was gonna give it like a 1.5, but I'll go up a half a point and meet Brad at 2, just because Zach is the penciler.
Yeah, see, much same reasons. I was gonna go a 2, but I think I'm gonna join Dave with a 2.5 because again, just because of Zach.
Do you think what is it that Jared says? Jared always says if Zek's on the cover, it automatically gets a 4.
Yes.
Do you think he would give it a 4, or do you think he would?
No, I don't think you would. I don't think you would. No.
Okay. All right.
I don't know. I don't know. It's a Zek cover, so.
Sure.
In fact, while we're talking, I'm going to send him a quick mess. I know he's busy with He's got Heroes Con this weekend, so we may not see this right now, but
This could be the exception to the rule, though. You know.
it may be.
Joseph Jackson in the chat gives it a 2, as well as Hines. He gives it a 2.
There we go. The votes are coming in, the numbers are coming in, and it's not looking good for this cover.
No. Just 1 second.
Wow, way.
65. So I threw that out there to Jared over on X. So if he gets back to me, I'll let you guys know what he's.
By the way, I've got something not related to this specific issue, but some news. I'm really enjoying the Skybound G.I. Joe comics.
Very nice.
And as of last night, I'm completely up to date. And your man Raptor showed up in issue 8.
See, I'm running behind on us. I gotta get caught up, but
it is really, really good. I was behind like about 3 issues, and I caught up fully. Really enjoying it. It's
very nice.
Josh Williamson doing a great job, and the artist as well is excellent. So yeah, when I saw him, I even predicted him because they sort of tease him, and I'm like, this has got to be Raptor, and he shows up, and you'll be happy, Aaron.
Oh, very nice, thank you. Yeah, like Kevin said, everyone in the chat gives it a 2. So yeah, it looks like it's pretty much a straight 2 cover. So yeah, not the best work, and again, we're not going to blame Zek.
Well, it's a Zek. No baity, but Zek. So it's great.
So when I get back from Jared, I'll let you guys know if he thinks it's great or not.
Yeah,
That's it. That's the only time you go on X nowadays, is just to ask Jared about these covers if he's not here, right?
Yes, he said, yeah, pretty much. I mean, I every once in a while I'll go in there and throw, at least a new episode, I'll put it on there. But yeah, I forget half the time. And yeah, maybe next for just contact Jared.
Yeah, using I use that app now so rarely. I'm so bad at monitoring that and like promoting it. Like, isn't it funny how big it used to be, and now it's like the last thing you think of.
Yeah, I'm just really bad at social media. Like I do Facebook and.
How many issues is G.I. Joe Skybound series in right now?
There's the issue 8 is the current one that's out now. It's the most recent one.
Let me throw in that they just released the trade edition of the first 5 or 6.
Okay, cool.
And I think they're doing a deluxe collection that's going to be the mainline book and all the miniseries, because there were a bunch of miniseries.
Oh, cool!
That preceded the actual G.I. Joe.
Cobra Commander, Duke.
Jeez, was there like 30 different covers for issue number 1?
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah,
something. All the variants. It is a really good series. I've been reading all of the what they call the Energon universe books, and they're all really entertaining. Especially if you're an old school G.I. Joe fan, you'll really enjoy it, just because it kind of
but you said Energon, which means Transformers crossover, right?
Well, Transformers crossover and Cobra Law features into it in a heavy way as well. But it does it in a way that's actually really entertaining, and it actually works.
Very much so. Yeah.
You've been on enough shows with me, Kevin, to know that things like Cobra Law and crossovers and things are not my thing.
Yeah, me neither.
In this case, it actually it actually works really well. So,
I would say both the Transformers and Cobra Law. It's a very small part of the story. Like, it's in the background, but you'd be surprised by just how well. I don't think that G.I. Joe has been as good since Chuck Dixon was writing it, frankly. I think it's really, really good. I'm trying to get Josh Williamson on the show, actually, because I am that impressed with it. And my girl Baroness is a member of G.I. Joe so far, which I'm loving. So there's plenty of Baroness, and I really like the costume design.
That's hot.
Yeah, I really like her costume design with the star. I hope they do that as a classified, actually.
I was going to say that one thing that's interesting about it, and we're going way off track here. We'll get back.
Sorry,
the character designs are all sourced from the classified line. So the Joes and the Cobras, they all look like they're classified toy versions,
which is cool.
So.
See, I am used to things going off track, and I'm enjoying the conversation. So please feel free. But it gets back on track a little bit. The synopsis for this issue. Again, my notes here, it's a bit of a simpler issue. Basically, Fred 7 leads a Cobra shuttle into space to keep the G.I. Joe team from discovering the secret of the Terradrome Project. As an epilogue, we catch up with Snake Eyes, Scarlet, and the Blind Master as they joined a circus heading to Barovia. And I found this line. I'm going to start using these. There's some notes. There's an error, apparently. In the last issue, Payload was black. This issue, he's still drawn like a black character, but he's colored white, which matches the toys.
Right.
I never had the toys. I'm not sure what the toy. And I couldn't quite tell from I was looking at yojo.com, and I couldn't quite make out if he's supposed to be black, white, or, if it's a Michael Jackson song, what's going on with him. So I'm not sure what he's supposed to be, but yeah.
That's hilarious.
He's been drawing different colors, apparently.
That's like April in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's always black or white.
His first appearance of the White Clown in the circus, which we'll be talking about. We get our first specific geographical location information about Barovia. It shares a border with Austria. And nothing's bad ever come from Austria. The White Clown's circus trope is called the Le Cirque de Cocagne Noir, which I'm sure I'm horribly butchered, which translates as Black Pig Circus. This issue is reprinted in G.I. Joe, The Best of Larry Hama, collected hardback, along with trade paperbacks and the upcoming omnibus and the hardcover and all that. And in the United Kingdom, this story was reprinted in Transformers issue 62, 63, 64, and 65. There's some notes on that. So let's go and get some thoughts on this issue. Let's go ahead and start. Let's start in the middle. Dave, do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I like it for what it is. I mean, I think it's fun. It's fun seeing the fun stuff in this is like Baroness with Fred. I love all that stuff. I really liked the Red Cobra spaceship, and I was wondering if that was ever made into a toy because I think it's such a cool thing.
Not unless it was some special, comic collector's con or something. Yeah, they never. I was gonna say, another Cobra toy that was never made into, or a Cobra vehicle was never made into a toy.
And it and also you see the Defiant, which I'm sure like Larry almost like begrudgingly put in, but he does a good job. He gets it in there. Look, honestly, it's a simple story, but it's a fun story, and then it's just got the funny part at the end with Scarlet and Snake Eyes and Blind Master. And it's so jarring, the shift from that to meanwhile somewhere in Europe. But honestly, look, no one's going to say this is like the best G.I. Joe cover, but it's fun. And then when poor Baroness bumps her head and she's knocked out, and then you see Fred take control. So overall, an enjoyable issue for me,
Very nice. And again, in the chat, if you guys have comments, go ahead and throw them out there, and I'll put them on the air. Kevin, do you have thoughts on this issue?
Originally it wasn't one of my favorites, just because of the whole, going to space and having space battles when our own, this is where, keep in mind, I always enjoyed G.I. Joe for somewhat realism, especially in current day climate. But the shuttle program itself was still was struggling at this time. We had the Challenger disaster in '86, and so this is when okay, this is taking me a little bit out of G.I. Joe storytelling. And of course I have to kind of be forgiving a little bit because a lot of this stuff is happening already, with some of the characters and stuff like that. But I wasn't buying, space-worthy vehicles where no one inside the capsules are wearing full, astronaut outfits and stuff like that. But there was characters in this series that I liked, though, and I was very curious to see what was going to happen with Fred masquerading as Cobra Commander, which I did like. That was probably my favorite thread in this.
Yeah.
And I did like the look of the Cobra spaceship. I thought it looked kind of cool and menacing. But the big deal for me was that why I was more forgiving of this is because you showcased the Defiant for the first time in this, and you got to see a very cool launch of it. And I wasn't sure where to bring this up in the conversation, so I'll just mention it now. Over the last 10 to 15 years, the probably everyone's white whale, so to speak, toy, if they could have it in pristine condition, of course, would be the USS Flag. However, I've seen the flag so many times now whether it's in a box still being sold for like $3,000 to $5,000, or already put together in front of storefronts or conventions, or people wonderfully displayed the flag in their own homes, and they kind of will add additions to it and make it look really cool. However, I rarely see the Defiant anywhere in all of its pieces and all of its glory. And always being, and I was a fan of the space shuttles themselves. And I remember Moonraker, one of my favorite guilty pleasure James Bond films. Where they went to space and shot lasers. To me, if you were to ask me, like, what's the ultimate, like, if you could go back and have a full, complete box of either the flag or the Defiant, for me, it's going to be a Defiant, because I think that thing looks cool, and if you have all the parts for it, and that's one of the things that stands out for me with this issue is the Defiant. Even though the Defiant wasn't kick ass as I wanted it to be, I felt like the Cobra's got an upper leg on that one, so to speak. But that's what kind of stands out for me in this issue. And then, of course, at the very end, seeing what's happening with our rescue team joining a circus, which I thought was very interesting.
Yep, yeah, very much so. And Brad, display that big brain and give some thoughts on this issue.
I'm going back to your comments about who was it that was miscolored in this one? Was it Payload? Payload, yeah. There's a song by Three Dog Night called Black or White that's just been rolling in my head ever since you brought that up. Right? I got an earworm now. It's a great song. Check it out. Three Dog Night was a great band. This issue, this is one of those ones where I can't really pinpoint anything that's wrong with it. It tells its story. It tells it really well. I think it's one of those cases of your mileage varying. If you can accept G.I. Joe going into space and everything that entails, it's great. I think it's interesting when you look at it from a focal point on Fred 7, who's impersonating Cobra Commander, because he's kind of out of his element. And there's that moment that we already identified when the Baroness is knocked out and somebody has to take charge, and he kind of steps up and starts to lead and everything, which implies, it kind of actually sort of sets up the conflict that's going to develop between him and Serpentor, who in this seems very happy to be rid of him, send him up into space. This is going to be great and everything. I do want to single out, though, I think this issue is really strong art-wise. Ron Wagner's penciled before, but I think this is the first time that we've seen Randy Emberlin doing the inks, and I think something about how it was inked, maybe he just used an extra super fine pen that he had just got for the first time. But when I look at things like the splash page of the satellite being repaired, and there's the astronaut doing the EEV on a tether, and there's a more traditional space shuttle in the background, just the etching is really fine. The detail is great. I love seeing the military tech and the space tech in any comic book, and it feels like there's a very light touch throughout. It's not the artwork's not cluttered. There's just a nice attention to detail, particularly in the faces. In a lot of cases, it feels a little bit like a Herb Trimpe work, who I thought it actually illustrated at first. And this compares nicely because there's another comic book series from the 80s I've been rereading just on my own that came out around the same time. It's also based on a toy line. I'm not going to say what it is. You'll probably be able to figure it out. But I've been having a real difficult time getting through it because I see just how cluttered the art is with characters and with dialogue and with everything. So this has just been circumstantially, at least, refreshing to read a story that's just it's kind of a one and done. I don't really recall us seeing the Defiant again in the regular book. I think this is one of those things that came along where Larry got the whole list of toys that are coming out this year. He's like, okay, I got to do something about space to make Hasbro happy. But I think they did a pretty good job of it. And I feel like once they got over the hiccups of getting them up into orbit, it actually works out quite well. And I, of course, enjoy the last 2 pages where we kind of get things back on track and get back to Earth and rescuing the Joes who are trapped in Barovnia. So it leads to some good stuff coming up. So overall, a good issue, a fun issue. I wouldn't rank it anywhere near in the pantheon of great issues, but it gets the job done, and it was certainly worth the $1.25 Canadian I paid for it back in 1987.
I would like to continue the tradition to give shout outs to my fellow finest G.I. Joe costume members. So this issue highlights Hardtop, who is, if you read the I guess, what do you call it, the file card, he is a primary military specialty heavy equipment operator, and his secondary military specialty is electronics. And my friend Charles, who was a dear friend of mine, we've done a lot of G.I. Joe stuff together, and we also hung out at Dragon Con many, many times. He premiered his hardtop costume from the action figure design at Dragon Con, and I was actually the one that took pictures of his character. We went around behind where a lot of the pictures are taken in this kind of back entrance where there was a little short stairway. So it kind of looked like a gantry that would be hosting the launching system for the Defiant. And the picture came out really well. They ended up using it for his official costume picture. But I just like the fact that the Finest members and G.I. Joe fans and even aren't Finest members have done these kind of really oddball characters that you really have to get to know and understand. But I knew who Hardtop was because the Defiant. That wasn't one of those like I didn't recognize from fellow Finest members. Sometimes I don't always know what their costumes are, so I have to figure out what it is. But anyway, I just want to give a shout out to my buddy Charles, who did an excellent costume of which we do see the character highlighted in this issue.
Yes, very nice. And for my thoughts on this, again, I do like the relationship between Baroness and Fred, as she's admitting that she's using him to to help lead Cobra, and I like that Fred's a little bit out of his depth at first, and she's like, just suck it up, and you'll get through this. And then when Mindbender storms in and he's like, we need to do this, and he doesn't. He's very vague about what their plans are, because Cobra Commander would know what he's talking about, and Fred's like, yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's do this. And he's like, what the hell did I just agree to? And I love on the page I've got up Baroness, the look on Baroness' face. It did a great job showing that she's got like, what the hell did you get us into? Because she knows what's coming up, but she can't say anything out loud about what the hell you doing, Cobra Commander. So I do love that. And again, as I think was Kevin was saying, there's a scene here where Serpentor's like, go ahead and go into space and get rid of yourself for me. I love that. So plays in the dynamics, which comes up later on. Again, we still got Fred like, I don't know what's going on still, but I'm acting like I do. Great CI. Fred's nervous because he's, what the hell's, why are we leaning back? What's going on? And just a great scene of the Cobra ship, which again, another tweet we never got, taken off. And I think the cover may have been a little bit better if we would have gotten this version of the Cobra ship instead of the blue one we got, like you guys had said. But
yeah.
It is what it is. Again, there is the payload. And again,
so is that the character that you're saying is misdrawn?
Miscolored.
Yeah, I mean, to me, he looks like they intended to make that guy black and then have the colorist has screwed that up. It looks like.
Yeah, that's what I'm not quite sure about. But
what color is the figure?
I'm not quite sure. I was looking on Yojo, but I couldn't quite figure out from the picture there. It's supposed to be black or white. He looks kind of like this, but I can't quite make out the coloring on it, so I'm not quite sure. So he wouldn't actually had the figure and nose. But last time he's drawn black. This time he's drawn more white. But he's got the black features.
And what's his job? It's just to pilot the Defiant. Is that like his job in G.I. Joe?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, we don't see a whole lot of him from what I recall. But that's his job as the pilot. And then Hardtop drives the main part, the launch bay and all that. So.
I've got a question. Back in the 80s, how much was a Defiant and how much would it be now if it was in box and in good condition?
Oh, jeez.
I want to say it was around $100 back in the day.
So a fair bit. That's a fair bit in the 80s.
Between $80 to $100. That's why I never got it because. Again, this is my own stuff. And
I couldn't say nowadays because you never see one that's in decent condition with all of its parts anymore. You only see you only see the shell of it or something like that, Okay. So, I mean, if it was still all together in a box, $1,000, maybe more.
Probably.
Do any of you guys own it? Do any of you guys own one?
No,
I never had the Defiant.
I never saw one at my toy store.
Yeah, right. It's quite. I've seen a picture of one in a store, and it looked quite big to me.
Yeah, no, it was. I would want to say it was probably 2 foot tall, 3 foot tall. I want to say.
That's one the rich kids got basically
Yes.
back in the day.
Yes, much like the flag. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing it at the store, but yeah, it was just at this point I was getting close to moving to my mom's house. I didn't have room, so yeah, I skipped this one.
You're like, Mum, can you slide me a quick 100? And she's like, you dreaming? Like,
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, when you consider that the GI Joe, like a single GI Joe action figure, probably ran you about $3 or $4, you
Yeah.
can kind of see, get a sense of how. I mean, the
scale.
Mobot. I think the Mobot when it first came in only cost about $20. So,
right.
you know,
Yep.
just when you do the comparison for inflation and everything, you realize that it was a huge ask to have parents that would buy you the Flag or the Defiant. But I think that was also the brilliance of the line, because I remember when you'd get a new vehicle or playset, and if it was from the new line, that's usually how you get your first look at all the toys that are going to be released in that line. So if you got something like, say, in 1984, when you got like the Skyhawk or the Water Moccasin, and you pulled out the pamphlet and you saw that there was a hovercraft as well, you're like, oh man, I gotta strategically lay this on Dad's paper in the morning with towards Christmas time, just in case he wants to check it out or anything. Not that you wanted to buy it. So, but they were really good at the big deluxe Cadillac Eldorado toys, and then you could be aware. I think even kids said there was no way Mom and Dad are going to buy me that huge thing. I'm going to have to settle for something else, and kind of check their expectations at the door.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man.
Yeah, and I checked yojo.com, and yeah, the original retail was $99.99.
Ouch.
So yeah,
Stings.
$100.
All right.
Which, yeah, is the reason. Yeah, I never did get it because it was too big and too priced. Like Brad was saying, you get a handful of regular figures for that price. So
Yeah.
whole bunch.
No, I get it, man. I get it totally. Yeah. And
I was gonna-
it's kind of like there's not that much space stuff like in the comics and stuff. Like I know there's probably a little bit, but it's not overly spacey as back in those days. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
the shuttle program was not in its glory by that point either.
Well, they didn't do a Cobra shuttle or a Cobra, spacecraft or anything like that. So it would have been a cool toy to have, because I think there was probably a lot of play value of it on the ground and everything like that. The Cobra's attacking the shuttle base, but once you get it into space, it's like, now what? I guess we're gonna go repair some satellites or take some weather readings of a hurricane or something like that.
Yeah. Or Alien Worlds is probably where it would have gone Star Warsy,
Well, we'll get to that point in the comic, I guess. The last several issues of the original Real American Hero run are a bit of an experience. So I'll just that.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. In fact, then for toy wise, it wouldn't be till the next year when Cobra came out, or Hasbro came out the Cobra Stellar Stiletto, which is probably their only space vehicle.
Aaron, if you could, I shared a picture of what the toy looks like opened, and if you can, take a look at the detail of this thing.
There you are.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'll scroll it a little bit here, but you'll see if you look
Almost as
closely.
big
You'll
as the
see,
kid.
yeah, it's pretty immense. It's pretty detailed toy too. And you'll see like I think one of the action figures are up on the side there on the gantry. There's another one over on the left. You can see it how it opens up, and there's a whole launch system there. And I'm assuming, and you could see Hardtop. He's at the bottom left. If you look over where the kid's hand is, and you just go over to the left a little bit, he's the one that's showcasing right by next to one of the missiles there. He's the one in light blue and white with the white top helmet on there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. Looks pretty cool. Right. That's a big toy.
Yeah, no, it's much like the Flag. It was a huge, whereas the Flag was long. There we are. Where the Flag was long, this was tall.
Yeah. Interesting.
But yeah, as we mentioned, I do like here. I made a note of this. I do like that Larry notated here that in the note, in space, the sound of the explosions would not be heard. So they're having all these space explosions, but you don't hear anything, no sound effects for it. That's I think Larry
Glad you-
explains that.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to bring that up too.
And then Baroness, yeah, she gets knocked out. And I love, yeah, Fred. At first, it looks like Fred's being overwhelmed. Everyone, Commander, Commander, Commander. And you just, I love the look, the way they did the look on Fred's eyes here. Just that pure, he's about ready to panic. The person that's kind of leading him, that's giving him the right direction, has just been knocked unconscious. And at this point, he could go one of two ways. Either, step and take command, or he could just totally lose his crap and freak out and ruin everything. But I do like that he stands up and he's like, okay, well, do this and do this. And he just starts barking orders, and he steps up as, in quotes, Cobra Commander. So I love that about this issue. And as you guys said, we end on the circus scene, and we find out what happened to our Joes that went missing. They're in a circus to try to infiltrate Barovia. And I do like, in fact, as I've talked about on my Starman Manhunter show, me and my buddy Billy used to read these comics, and sometimes we buy our own, sometimes we read each other's comics. And I remember when this came out, and this line here where the white clown was telling him that, such a tacky costumes, you want to look like with sequins on. I remember Billy's like, he loved that. He's like, I want to see Snake Eyes in sequins. I for some reason that line and my friend's reaction, just loving the thought of seeing Snake Eyes in sequins, just sticks with me to this day. So I have to throw that out there.
Hasbro Rush release a sequin Snake Eyes. I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that. And over in the chat, Dave Martell says same thoughts as Kevin. Love the shovel. Once you get past the cover, when Fred takes charge, it's a nice moment, especially because how inept he seemed at first. So yeah, very much so.
Is it safe to say that Fred Cobra Commander is a better commander than Cobra Commander?
Well, yeah, you're probably right.
Too soon to tell.
We'll see as it goes along. But yeah, he's shaping up, I think, to be. I mean, yeah, you had the cartoon Cobra Commander, which was inept. You had this one, which actually wasn't a bad Cobra Commander. But then you have Fred. Yeah, I think Fred steps up and he acquaints himself well in the role of Cobra Commander. So yeah, he may be a better Cobra Commander than the actual man himself.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, overall, I like the issue. Again, much better than the cover suggests. But and again, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the space stuff on this, but I like the way that it played out, that it gave us a chance for Fred to step up and show us what he's really made of. And then Brad, you requested me to include this back cover.
Yeah.
Wow. Meatloaf.
The back cover, when I slid this comic carefully out of the backing board, the first thing I noticed on it was actually what was on the back cover, which is a very famous, or almost infamous ad. And I'm not exaggerating there, because I think it was on Instagram. There's an account called Comic Book Ads, where they'll just post images of ads. And Aaron had said, "Is there any artwork or anything you want to include?" And I said, "Hey, let me send you a scan of the back cover of this issue, because it's got this Meatloaf, humongous rock star of the universe, and heroes helping heroes." And no word of a lie, not one day later, I was on Instagram just kind of scrolling through, and the Comic Book Ads account had posted this exact ad. So
wow,
it's out there somehow. I like to think Meta was probably spying on me somehow, and send use psyops to manipulate that account to post this cover. No, so this was a thing. This was a fundraiser for the Special Olympics, and if you sent in $5, you would receive a record or cassette of the official theme song and theme music of the 1987 International Summer Special Olympics Games, which is called "Time for Heroes" was the name of the song. It was sung by Meatloaf. It was produced by Brian May of Queen, actually. And the thing that's really funny about this ad is, and I will parse this in a bit, but 1987, nobody was listening to Meatloaf. I don't even think Meatloaf was listening to Meatloaf. He'd had his huge monster hit, "Bat Out of Hell," in 1977, which is a phenomenal album. And of course, everybody knew him from Rocky Horror Show for the one song he played in it. But nobody was really talking about Meatloaf at all. But I guess they decided to get him to do this charity single for the Special Olympics, and they said, "We'll put a comic book ad out, and that'll get to the audience we want. But the funny thing is, first of all, Meatloaf is spelled as one word here, when actually his stage name is Meat Loaf, 2 words. That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, there's an image of him saying Special Olympians are the real heroes, I'm going to give him everything I've got. He's supposed to be playing a guitar, but it looks like he's playing it backwards, or conversely, it looks like somebody broke off the neck of a guitar, sharpened it into a stake, and rammed it into his chest like a vampire, because the angle is so weird. And the other thing is, Meatloaf was not a guitar player; he was a singer. But I guess they decided, well, I'll give him a singer, give him a guitar, so we know he's rocking out. And he looks like he's wearing some sort of bathrobe thing on.
I love it.
On
Which is
stage.
probably realistic for the loaf.
That could be, or they took a few reference photos of him outside his house when he was grabbing the newspaper from the curb, or something like that. So it's funny just to see that back in the day, selling the ads for comics were a huge revenue generator, and I guess at a certain point, people they said let's do this, and we'll give you the back cover, and you'll pay us X amount of dollars for it to run. But I just wanted to make a quick little ad that if you're
That's
familiar,
awesome.
If you're familiar with Meatloaf, if you're familiar with the Bat Out of Hell album, it was written with a guy named Jim Steinman, who was a great singer-songwriter, mostly as a producer, but songwriter, who wrote 2 iconic 80s classics that at one point were the number 1 and number 2 songs in America. The first was Total Eclipse of the Heart by Bonnie Tyler, and the second was Making Love Out of Nothing at All by Air Supply. So
I just want to mention that the songwriter that you're mentioning there.
Yeah.
I saw the musical in London a few years ago with my wife called Bat Out of Hell, the musical, which included all of his songs incorporated into a Bat Out of Hell play.
Oh, awesome.
And this band called Chocolate Starfish in Australia, which is, I'm friends with a guitar player. They're very popular, and they did a whole Bat Out of Hell set, including songs that writer wrote in along with the playset.
Yeah,
cool.
But then
that's cool.
A little postscript though is when I said nobody was listening to Meatloaf in 1987. In 1992-93, he released "Bat Out of Hell 2," which has the song "I Would Do Everything for Love,"
but not that.
But I won't do that. Yeah, I know that
with a phenomenal music video that was directed by Michael Bay. So.
Yeah,
it's on YouTube. Check it out. Meatloaf. Yeah. Respect for Meatloaf. Bat Out of Hell's a great album.
I will say I checked Apple Music. That A Time for Heroes with Brian May is on Apple Music, so I'll be checking that out after this. Yeah, I've never heard of it.
And Meatloaf, not a bad little actor too. So yeah.
Oh, we remember him as Robert Paulson because that was his name. His name was Robert Paulson.
He had bitch tits.
Did Meatloaf die recently, or am I?
He did. He died. He passed away from COVID complications, unfortunately.
Oh right, okay, yeah, wow.
Yeah.
He famously did a really bad appearance at one of the grand finals here in Australia, when he was well past his prime, and he was just like out of tune, and he was struggling, and but like he was loved in Australia, but now unfortunately. He's almost a bit of a mockery. They mention him almost every grand final. It won't be as bad as Meatloaf.
And also, if we move on, Kevin.
Yeah, I wanted to showcase my buddy Charles in the costume of Hardtop there.
Cool.
And he was the crawler driver, the thing that basically harnesses and brings out the Defiant. Of the Defiant space shuttle vehicle, and that's his picture there, the one that I actually took for his costume. And then you see a picture of the costume, a screenshot of this issue that we're discussing, how he's not very much a big talker, and his stats there on the file card. So I just wanted to showcase that to this group and the fans as well.
That's a pretty good costume effort there.
Yeah,
The look of him matches the guy.
Yeah. And when he debuted that costume, there's a lot of people that are like, wait a minute, I know that guy. So yeah.
I love he's got that giant wrench.
Yes.
Great job there. Thank you for sharing that, Kevin. Yeah, you guys just posted on the G.I. Joe Facebook group, so thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
So it's over there. So unless anyone else has anything else to say about this issue, we can move on to the next segment. Seconds. The real American hero. And as I've always said, if you guys in the chat want to throw out your real American hero, or we get to the page of art, go ahead. I'll announce it on the show. But this is the real American hero, the Joe or Cobra or somebody else that did something extraordinary or needs some extra special attention brought their way. So, Kevin, do you have a real American hero for this issue?
You know, I don't want to say the obvious because I want to leave that for others. I did want to give a shout. This also, if I remember too, which I it sucks that I'm not home because I would have it right over here. Is I actually have a sci-fi figure who is showcased in this issue. Sci-fi makes his debut, and if you remember Sci-Fi, he was mostly in green.
Yep.
And so I'm going to just give a shout out to Sci-Fi, not because he's a hero or anything, but he needs some love. And what's funny was about 5 years ago, maybe 6, I was at Joe Fest down in Augusta, Georgia, which is just wrapping up right now, actually. And I saw a bunch of loose figures, and but I found this Star Wars Dewback original like toy for like $10. It didn't have like anything, and remember the Dewback, you could put the figure inside the thing inside, so your legs of the figure would actually be inside the Dewback's body.
Right.
And like now I need a writer for this thing, and then I saw Sci-Fi because he was green, and I put Sci-Fi in the Dewback. And if I was home right now, I would be able to go over, grab it, and pull it out and show you. So my real American hero is Sci-Fi.
Very nice. I can't argue with that. That's nice.
I guess he's basically the Defiant, like one of the I don't know, pilots or tech guys. I don't know, but Sci-Fi.
Like he's their laser operator. So.
Yeah.
Of course he is. Not Flash. It's a new one.
He's taking Flash's spot. He's the new. He's Flash's replacement.
Yes.
They've got to replace all the old figures with new figures for you to buy. So
the runner-up is, of course, Hard Top, but it's going to be Sci-Fi.
Nice. And Brad, do you have a real American hero?
Well, unlike Kevin, I will make the obvious choice. I will say in this issue, Fred 7 stopped acting like a leader and stopped pretending to be a leader and started acting like a leader.
Yes.
So he gets the Soldier of the Month for me, even though he's kind of a Weasley bad guy.
I'm starting to like him. I'm starting to like him, though, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. I'll get to that in a minute. Dave, thoughts?
I was tossing up between Fred and Baroness. I'm going to go with Fred because, as you say, I really liked that Armored Cobra Commander costume as well. Like, yes. I really like that, and I believe there's a classified coming out later this year. Me too. Yo, Joe. So it's Fred, and I just think it's one of those issues where it's more than the sum of its parts, so a bit of an ensemble. But I'm going to go with Fred.
And it looks like it's 4 for Fred because over in the chat, Joe Jackson also gives it to Fred.
Cool.
And they round out the 4th. Yeah, mine is Fred. As Brad said, he goes from acting like Cobra Commander, acting like a leader, to actually stepping up. And like I said, there was that moment you can see on his face where it looks like he's being overwhelmed. Everyone's, Cobra Commander, Baroness is knocked out. And he could have gone one of two ways. He could have wimped out and, curled in the fetal position and cried. Mm-hmm. Or he did what he did and just stepped forward and, okay, you do this. No, we need to do this. And, and he took command. So
Fred he met the moment.
Yes. And make that 5 for Fred. Dave Martell over in the chat also says Fred. So, it looks like Fred has the most votes for the American Hero this week.
That's all right. Sci-Fi always gets shafted. It's fine.
Well, if I'd known Fred was going to get so much love, I would have thrown something to Baroness for one particular page that I'm going to mention. But anyway.
Fred was, I like I said before, I like the battle armor Cobra Commander.
Oh, yeah.
And part of the reason I'm sure is just because that's the first issue I bought that got me into G.I. Joe. It was on the cover. I like how in the comic and the cartoon it diverges, and where in the cartoon it's actually Cobra Commander, but in the comic, Cobra Commander wore for like 30 seconds for Fred shot him in the back and said, no, I'm going to wear this.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So that was the Real American Hero. Next up is the favorite page of art. Flip through here and we'll see who we have in order. So, Brad, first choice. What's your Brad? Would you like to talk about your? You talked about a little bit about it earlier, but would you like to?
Yeah, I did talk about it earlier. I always go to the splash page with these ones for the reasons stated. I like the angle on it. I just like the look of it. It looks realistic. It's compelling. It draws you in, and it's just my obsessions with technology, space technology, and seeing them rendered in comic books. It just hits all the right buttons for me. And it was a difficult decision because as I was going through the issue, there were a lot of really solid pages. But I thought, I'll take the splash page for myself and I'll leave the other pages for the other guys. So
you're all right. There was a lot of great choices. My choice, page 16. Again, as I said, I just love that look on Fred's face there at the bottom panels, especially. Everyone like, Cobra Commander, what do we do?
Oh,
What
yeah.
do we do? And just that look in his eye, that fear in his eyes, he was about ready to do the break or step up. And again, I also love pages 18 where he actually steps forward and takes control, and page 21, which we'll get to in here in a few minutes. But yeah, this is my page. I'm picking is this one here. Mainly because if you get the Baroness knocked out, as Kevin says. What? But yeah, then just the look on Fred's eyes. Just love it.
Hot.
Kevin?
Yeah, this is my first choice. I crack up whenever I see this.
Yes.
And I just think that would make a great poster as well. You got you got the blind master balancing on a ball with chainsaws, juggling chainsaws. Jackal would be happy with that. And then that was a hair metal reference to the band Jackal, by the way. Snake Eyes on his shoulders, throwing knives at Scarlet. I mean, and he's not doing those fake knives that you see back in the old days where you would just see the fake knives pop out of the wheel. He's actually throwing these things and narrowly missing his girlfriend there, Scarlet. I just love it. It cracks me up every time.
And to follow up, not only is he throwing knives at Scarlet, but Scarlet's spinning.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just up to difficulty. So.
Yeah, that would just be a great picture right there, just to mount on a poster and just have there. I mean, yeah, it's a deep cut too,
And since you sent to me, also include your honorable mentions.
Yes, these are my honorable mentions. I love the opening there in the Utah desert, and you see Hardtop bringing out that Defiant launch system there, and then next page you get to see it take off. I just think that's really, really cool. Good shot of Hardtop there doing his thing.
Yeah. And I love, this kind of follows up on I think it was the previous issue, the issue before that, where the Defiant came into camp. We didn't see it. We just heard the rumbling, and then it disappeared. Yeah. And that's when Chuckles.
Oh, yeah, right. That did happen. Wow.
Yeah,
thank you for mentioning that.
They went out and found the treads. It just disappeared. This is where they disappeared to.
I am such a bad comic book reader. I totally did not even realize that until you said that just then. Like, yeah, right. Well done, Larry. You sort of foreshadowed there.
Yeah. It was very nice. And I didn't get one from Dave.
I've got
which page?
my one. My one is page 16, and two reasons. I do like that Cobra Commander with the Red Riding, but Baroness there. Once she's knocked out, look at how she's lying. It's almost like her head is supporting her, and her back's kind of arched. And just take a look at that uniform. I don't feel any classified has fully captured the physique that we're talking about here with Baroness. It's something to behold, and it's why she's my number one character.
I like how you said that it's something to behold.
It is, my friend. It is. And she's just a fantastic character. And I almost gave her, whatever it is, Joe of the Month, based on this one image. Yes. I mean, even knocked out, she's still entrancing. So I can see what Destro sees in her,
You're not wrong. And see, we both picked the same page for kind of different reasons. But
Yeah.
Very
yeah.
nice. Though your reasons are not bad. Those are great reasons
Thank
also.
you.
So that is the page of art. Next, we move on to Postbox of the Pit. Again, I don't do a whole lot like I probably should, but let's look at Facebook. On Facebook, I'm going to mention the people that either posted things or mainly posted things on the page. There's Paul Cush, Don Man Art, our very own Kevin Reitzel, David Allen, Joe Jackson, who's joined us in the chat, and also in the chat, Dave Martell. Thank you guys very much for joining me on Facebook and for posting your images and your stories and all that on there. I love seeing that. Again, I don't do anything on Twitter, Instagram like I probably should. I'm not on Blue Skies at all just because, again, as I said, it'd be another social media to ignore. So moving on to Patreon. Again, patreon.com/headcastnetwork. If you like what we're doing here, go over there and throw a few bucks in the tin. And you can join the others, such as Bill Bear. And as mentioned at the top of the show, both Big Danny Cool and Sean Adams. I want to thank you guys very much for your support. And I appreciate everyone that supports the show in whichever way you do it. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, guys.
And again, to reach out to us, you can reach at gijoe@headspeaks.com, facebook.com/group/gijoe. Those where I'm the business at. We have youtube.com/@g.i.joe_headcast, where I'm here every fourth Sunday of the month at 1:00 p.m. California time. I'm also streaming over on twitch.tv/brotherhead69. And again, the ones I kind of ignore is x.com/gijoeheadcast and instagram.com/headcast. And then finally, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, patreon.com/headcastnetwork. Those are different places you can see us, contact us, email us, whatever it may be.
That's it. You can get in touch with the man himself.
I also forget to do this. I do have a voicemail set up at area code 559-500-3182. I forget to throw that on there every so often. 559-500-3182. You can leave a voicemail, and I will read it on the air.
You charging on that per the minute? Is that one of these kind of ones?
No. That's not. Yeah, no, that's not a 9.
It is not a 900 number. It is not a 900 number.
Though there is links to that on the feed. Never mind.
I just want to. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You want to say something?
I just wanted to mention you mentioned the post office box, the pit. I just wanted to mention one thing in the actual post office box, the pit of this issue. Yes, people are responding to the death of Cobra Commander in the previous issues, and I'm not going to read a letter or anything like that. But two things I find interesting was in reaction to one of them, how they sometimes reply to them and they say, "Sorry, bro, the Cobra Commander is dead, and he's going to stay that way. See the next letter." And the next letter kind of goes on to another fan's options of who should take over Cobra, like Destro and stuff like that. So I thought that was kind of interesting that they say that here, that he's going to stay dead, is going to stay that way. Also, too, I noticed in how they are printing the actual addresses of these fans, putting them in there. And then at the top, I don't know how long they've been doing this, but at the top it says, "We'd like to get your letters. Please send them to the Marvel Comics address. And if you don't want your full address published, please tell us."
Yeah.
Because sometimes you will see address withholding request.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yes. The first letter in this one doesn't have an address listed, and it's from Allison Boomerang Son and Sean Flyboy Hyde, no address listed. And they have a PS on their letter saying, "P.S. Female Joe fans do exist."
Yes,
that was good to see that letter actually. Back in the 80s, I think as well.
Yeah.
There was also a Sherry Hornberg from San Angelo, Texas. So there's a couple of female Joe fans writing in, which is it's good to see.
Yep.
So now we move on to the Soldier of the Month. This is someone that's done something good for G.I. Joe or personally benefited me, or again, I'm not above bribery, as I said. I won't admit that. But this month, we're doing a reach back to last month, and I'm going to give the Soldier of the Month this month to Michael Charles Hill. He was our guest last month, and he's the one basically created Cold Slither and did a fantastic job. He was a great guest last month to have. And I'm looking, hopefully, next month getting another special guest if things work out. And I'll talk to you guys about that. But, yeah, so that would be our Soldier of the Month. To our Soldier of the Month. From all of us here at G.I. Joe, a Royal American Headcast, and the Headcast Studios, we salute you. So thank you very much. At this point, we're going to take a quick commercial break while I play some ads, and we'll be right back for the cartoon.
G.I. Joe will return after these messages.
Fair, I start recording that in the show, and unless I have to add on and edit later on. Do you guys need to take a break or get water or anything? You guys good to go?
Actually, Aaron, I might have to jump off because I've got to go into a meeting. So for the cartoon, I couldn't do it. But thank you so much, guys, and I will catch you up. All right. Do you need me to do anything here, or
No, I'm doing it all. I may go back to doing separately, but right now it's still just doing one. So
all right, okay. All right. See you guys. Good to see
See
you.
you, Dave.
See you, Dave.
See ya.
Bye.
And we'll get back with the three of us.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
Check out those shows. There's some great shows I played promos for. But let's go ahead and move on to the next segment where we look at the cartoon.
Yo, Joe! He'll fight for freedom wherever there's trouble. G.I. Joe is there. G.I. Joe, American hero. G.I. Joe is there. It's G.I. Joe against Cobra the enemy, fighting to save the day. He never gives up. He's always there, fighting for freedom over land and air. G.I. Joe! G.I. Joe is there!
G.I. Joe is the code name for America's daring, highly trained Special Mission Force. Its purpose, to defend human freedom against Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world.
He never gives up, he'll stay till the fight's won. G.I. Joe will dare. G.I. Joe, American hero. G.I. Joe.
So here we are talking about G.I. Joe. This is the Great Alaskan Land Rush. The information on this directed was John Gibbs and Terry Lennon. Writer David Karen, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Probably Karen, I'm assuming. This first aired December the 3rd, 1985. The synopsis, G.I. Joe and the October Guard, supposedly October Guard, we'll talk about that, need to locate the real Seal of Alaska before Cobra takes control of Alaska and its resources. While searching, the Joes and the Red October, which are went by in this episode, get captured by the 19th century Cossacks, who bring them to Captain Lukrov, who owns the Seal. After he loses the Cobra, Duke makes a deal with Lukrov to retrieve it. And that is the Great Alaskan Land Rush. So let's get some thoughts on this. Brad, you have thoughts on this episode?
Oh boy, I think I wonder if Canada knows that if they just find the Great Seal of Alaska, that they can claim ownership over the state. Because this is one of those things where you should never learn your geopolitics from cartoons that aired on weekday afternoons in the 1980s. Look, I mean, this is sort of your boilerplate episode of the show. Nice to have a winter setting, an Arctic setting. Gets the Arctic troopers and the Arctic vehicles a chance to get their moment in the sun, because that was always kind of the great thing about G.I. Joe, is you had different vehicles and different specialists for different environments. So rather than parachuting Snow Job into the Sahara or Dusty into Antarctica, you kind of get to actually get those toys out and kind of play around with them, because some of us grew up and lived in environments that got a lot of wintry weather and other ones that didn't. But this was a fun one. I mean, once you get away the silliness of having to get your hands on a special seal that allows you to take control of a state. If the seal did something, like if it was imbued with magical powers, which is another thing you'd expect from G.I. Joe, it might make a little bit of sense. But for me, this one just kind of worked because it made its intentions clear and it rolled with it. And anytime the October Guard shows up in the cartoon has always been really interesting to me, even though they look a lot different from their comic book counterparts, which makes me wonder, again, and I think I said this the last time they appeared, was there ever any effort or idea in Hasbro's part to do the October Guard as action figures for the Real American Hero line? I know they showed up in some of the post Real American Hero. There was in the Collectors Club, and I think in the there was a convention exclusive, the San Diego Comic Con convention exclusive, a 5-pack of the original 5 October Guard figures, and there's rumors of them coming to Classified as well. But it's kind of nice to see them show up here, even though they are different from the comic book version. And there was some good little in jokes in there. There's a bit of a wordplay about Karl Marx and Groucho Marx. There's the character of Potemkin. His last name is the same name of a Russian statesman who was named Grigory Potemkin. And if you know your cinema, if you know your early 20th century cinema, particularly your Soviet cinema, there's a very famous movie titled Battleship Potemkin about the 1905 rebellion, and it includes that
mutiny.
Mutiny, yes, but it includes that famous bit on the Odessa steps of the baby carriage going down the stairs, which the great Brian De Palma ripped off, or as the French say, homaged, in 1987's The Untouchables. So I got not much else to say. It was a fun episode to watch, and given where I am right now in the Northeast, we're under a heat emergency. It was kind of nice to spend 20 minutes in the Arctic. So well done, G.I. Joe. Good time.
And from the chat real quick, David Martell says this is one of the rare episodes that you never saw as a kid.
Oh, so it was new for him too.
Yep. And Kevin, thoughts on this episode?
Okay, so I don't have a piece of paper. I had to do it on my phone. So just make a there you go. Yeah, make a rustling of paper there. An homage to our friend Jared, of course. So,
and real quick, let me interrupt you real quick before I forget again. Speaking of Jared, I heard back from him on X about the cover of the issue.
Yes.
Anyone want to care to guess what he gave it?
He gave it a 4, didn't he?
Yeah, he gave it a 4.
Because of Zach, right?
he didn't specify, but I'm pretty sure.
Well, it's a Zek. No baby, but Zek. So it's great.
Yeah, he didn't specify, but yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he gave it a 4.
Call that one.
So I figured he gave it a 4 because of Zach. So sorry, I just got back from Jared on that, so I wanted to mention that before I forgot. Yeah, let him know that. I thought as much on the show. Got 2 and 2.5. But I figured he'd give it a 4.
Anyway. No, that's great. So yeah. All right. So the Great Alaskan Land Rush. So what I love about doing this podcast, as I mentioned before, is there's a lot of these episodes that I don't remember off the top of my head. Some are more memorable than others, like the previous Cold Slither one we did. Shout out to that episode. Make sure you check that out. The writer was on that episode as a guest. But what I liked about this one, too, I'll say off the top, was that the previous episode before Cold Slither was the Invaders. We got the October Guard in that one, and then we get the October Guard in this one. And so I liked that kind of continuity to this episode as well. Yep. And I don't remember watching this originally, but it doesn't mean I didn't. So I'm just going to say, to me, I felt like I was watching it for the first time, which is fun. So they're on. So what's funny is when it opened up, I saw the old lady, and I'm like, that's got to be the Baroness in disguise. Called it again. It was. Yeah. But I like how the G.I. Joe convoy has the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence in their convoy. And I'm like, Nick Cage, anyone? Come on. Nick Cage stole the Declaration of Independence, a national treasure. So I'm just saying. And I liked how I'm going to use the word homage again. Duke and Scarlett did the Indiana Jones truck chase type scene where they're underneath.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that Duke makes reference to John Wayne movie where they did one. But I'm going to go back a little bit further. The famous Western stuntman called Yakima Canutt did that actual stunt, the famous stunt of him going under. He's at the front horses, and he goes underneath all of the horses back through the end of the stagecoach and then comes back. And his star is on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. If you don't know who Yakima Canutt is, he is one of the famous and original stuntmen and one of the best at it. So there you go.
Very nice.
Mr. Gurgi Potemkin. Gurgi, I thought that was kind of a funny name. He's the new governor of Alaska with the help, of course, of Cobra and the Crimson Twins. And I'm glad Brad mentioned the Russian battleship Potemkin, of course, was subject to the famous mutiny. And Gregory Potemkin was also a Russian field marshal and the lover of the great Catherine the Great. So I love that these G.I. Joe episodes tie in a little bit of history, even though they might skew it a little bit for their own purposes. Now, the Great Seal of Alaska was done for this episode to have a MacGuffin, basically. I just thought it was funny that it was a cup. Not like a seal, I thought would be like a round thing in maybe like a frame or something, but it was a cup. So I felt kind of like Indiana Jones 3 vibes from that.
Yes.
Although, let me just jump in. When I heard the Great Alaskan Seal, I thought it would have been an actual seal that comes waddling in with balancing a ball or something like that on its
It's
head.
funny you say that because you're setting me up for a line that I thought was funny, where the Joes say they are hunting the real seal. They're going seal hunting. See what they did there?
Yeah. And real quick, let me interrupt you real quick, Kevin. David Martell from the chat says that Brad certainly knows the cinema. Hats off to you, sir. Odessa Steps.
Well, I do host a movie podcast on our network, so I know a lot about 80s stuff as well. So.
Oh, Kevin knows his cinema too.
Oh yeah.
So he gave you both shouts out.
Love the love. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah, movies are one of my passions. So what I thought was kind of interesting was they say, according to the Crimson Twins, Alaska's worth $1 trillion, according to them. I'm kind of going to question that a little bit, but I do have a little bit about the Alaskan purchase I do want to bring up to you guys. So we saw, what is the G.I. Joe snowmobiles called again?
The Snowcat?
Snowcat. So we saw a lot of them coming off like the plane and stuff like that, yet we didn't really see them in action. Not a toy that I got, just because I grew up in sunny Southern California, had no use for them. So just so you know. The Russian helicopters, they named them by name in the cartoon, but I immediately got Red Dawn vibes, especially if you remember towards the end when they trap the Red Dawn teenagers with the fruit that falls off the back of the truck, and then you start to hear the helicopters come in, and it was like this style of Russian helicopter, which I thought was very cool.
Yep.
Brad alluded to it. The Snow Team, G.I. Joe Snow Team, is Scarlet, Duke, Roadblock, and Gung Ho, and some Green Joe no-namers. No Snow Job?
That's what I was saying. Snow Job or...
Yeah.
Snow Job and Iceberg came later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What was the other one? There was Snow Job and... there was two of them. Snow Job and...
Yeah, there was another... Iceberg. Is that what it was?
Iceberg, yes.
Iceberg. But I don't think he was in
Iceberg
stores
came
at this
later.
point yet. Yeah.
Iceberg came later. There was another. I'll have to look at it now. I'm curious.
At
Do you
point,
think Snow Job's like, back at the Bear Cones, WTF, bros? Come on.
I think Snow Job had to go on a top secret mission to the Sahara, and that's why.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. Yeah. I love it when we get the roadblock rhymes. This one was rub Aladdin's lamp, see October camp. Rub Aladdin's lamp, see Red October's camp. There you go. And I love how they actually brought the Cossacks in, even though this really didn't happen. But I like the idea that there was this Russian village that survived because of the Romanov ship that was still there, and the descendants were still there. But I'm still kind of wondering, like, what happened to the Green Joes? All those Joe I mean, what happened to them? Did they just not come on this part of the trip or something? So anyway. Then we, of course, get the team up of the after the Baroness steals the real seal. The October Guard and the Cossacks team up. The seal's recovered. Of course, the October Guard tried to steal it back, but then realized, well, let's work together here. And I liked how they're heading to Juneau, Alaska. But I just thought it was really weird and awkward that there was a real super quick aerial fight between Sky Strikers and the Rattlers with a second of what we believe is Ace, and that was it. And I always like the trope, especially of 70s and 80s TV series, especially if they're comedies, where you end the show where everyone's like, ha, 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 and then it stops, and they're all laughing and smiling, and the credits start to roll. I kind of got that vibe at the end of this episode when the Joes all start to laugh. So, yeah. Those are my immediate thoughts on the episode, but I did want to mention this is based on a true story, the Alaska Purchase. And if you'll allow me, I'd like to give you and the listeners and the viewers a little history lesson here.
Please go.
Purchase was purchased of Alaska from the Russian Empire by the United States for the sum of $7.2 million in 1867, an equivalent to $129 million in 2023. On May 15th of that year, the United States Senate ratified a bilateral treaty that had been signed on March 30th of that year, and American sovereignty became legally effective across the territory on October 18th. During the first half of the 19th century, Russia had established a colonial presence in parts of North America, but few Russians ever settled in Alaska. Alexander II of Russia, having faced a catastrophic defeat in the Crimean War, began exploring the possibility of selling the state's Alaskan possessions, which in any future war would be difficult to defend from the United Kingdom. To this end, William H. Seward, who was mentioned in the episode, U.S. Secretary of State at that time, entered into negotiations with Russian diplomat Edward D. Stokey towards the United States acquisition of Alaska after the American Civil War. Seward and Stokey agreed to a treaty for the sale on March 30th, 1867, at an original cost of 2 cents an acre, which is now 36 cents an acre. And then some opponents labeled the purchase as Seward's Folly or Seward's Icebox. Now, if you watch the movie 30 Days of Night, some vampires, Russian vampires, also hung around. So I just want to let you know.
Yes, thank you.
That's a movie with Josh Hartnett, by the way, a very good movie where 30 Days of Night in Alaska turns into a horrific vampire battle with people that live there. So there you go.
Yes. I remember. I haven't seen that in quite a while, but I remember that one.
Good one, yeah. So there's your history lesson based on a true story.
Very nice. And I was wondering how much of this is true, how much of it. Again, yeah, and I was wondering what was up with the cup, because again, yeah, like you said, you would think since it's a seal, it would be like a round object or frame. Yeah, I wouldn't expect an actual cup for that. So
yeah.
So I guess there is no actual seal that you can actually retrieve and own.
I'm just saying though, if I was an Alaska comic book, store owner, I would create an Alaskan cup of seal and just have it there on display.
There you go.
Because I mean, it looks like something you'd pick out of that room of the Last Crusade of Indiana Jones, the one that probably killed the Nazi guy because he drank out of the wrong cup. Could have looked something like that. So yeah.
Yeah. And I will mention real quick, my son jumped in the chat. Grace, I just had him up with YouTube. He wants to start YouTubing Minecraft and stuff. So
well, show yourself on the video. You just got me now.
I do. I'm really bad at this.
There you go.
We are. So yeah, so he's his dad. Because I set him up with a programmer because we wanted a programmer in 1977.
Oh, Dad.
So my 10-year-old big into Minecraft and Fortnite and Roblox. So yeah, so I've set him up so he can record and post his Minecraft videos. But yeah, no, a lot of the same thoughts you guys had. Yeah, like I say, it's an Arctic or a winter cold mission. Yeah, we didn't see Snow Job and Frostbite. That was the other snow-based Joe at the time.
Yes, Frostbite. Yeah.
I was thinking about that when I watched the episode. I forgot to notate it, and I can't remember his name. So again, yeah, it's funny that they're in the snow, perfect place to show they case these two figures, nowhere to be found. And also, I didn't see any snow serpents. I don't know if this was before they came out or what. But yeah, the Cobra didn't have any snow serpents to shoot at. But anyways, but yeah, a lot of the same time. Yeah, it was a good episode. I mean, it wasn't last episode's, but I do remember this one. I remember watching that. I don't remember all the details, but I remember watching it, and I remember the Great Seal, and they had to go with. And I liked it. I noticed that the October Guard in this episode went by Red October. I don't know why the name changed, why they didn't refer to him as October Guard. I don't know if that was a marketing thing or if that was like some sort of legal issue going on. But yeah, this episode they changed their name and not referred to as the October Guard. But I do like when the October Guard shows up, whether in the comic or the cartoon. And yeah, I wish they would have had toys back in the days for them. Maybe we'll get them in classified. We'll see. You never know what Hasbro's going to do. But yeah, overall, it was an enjoyable episode. It wasn't, one of the best episodes they've done. But again, we've seen far worse on this show. So I will say, it was a good episode overall. So any other thoughts on this episode? If not, we'll move on to the PSA.
It's getting dark. Slow down. It's hard to see. Look out, a car.
You boys okay?
Dusty, we didn't see you.
And I couldn't see you. No wonder you don't have reflectors. They tell drivers where you are.
I see what you mean.
Remember, if you have to ride when it's getting dark, have the right equipment.
And wear bright clothes. Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
Again, love Dusty, so I have to love
I have thoughts about that.
Please, sure. Share your thoughts.
I don't know if I've mentioned. Yeah, no, I think I have mentioned on this podcast because of ads of BMX bike ads that were in these comics.
Yes.
And there was no way in hell you were allowed to have reflectors on your bikes if you wanted to be somewhat cool as a BMX rider. You had no safety reflection of any type, and if you wanted to ride your bike at night, you had to frickin' risk it, man. And so I always thought that was kind of funny. And sometimes those reflectors, they would get a little loose and kind of come off. That is a good safety thing to do. Those kids could have been wearing some reflective gear as well on their person as well as their bike stuff. Yep. But yeah, I just thought that was kind of funny. It brought back a memory. No, take the reflectors off.
So this PSA is directed towards you BMS bikers out there.
Yeah.
Very nice. And again, I do want to say, as usual, I want to thank everyone that watched this live, those listening to the podcast, and also want to give special thanks to my guests, both Dave Finn, Brad Abraham, and our very own Kevin Reitzel.
Yay!
So, if people want to hear more about you guys, Brad, where can they go to listen to Brad Abraham talk about movies?
Well, as has been stated in the chat, I certainly know my cinema. You can find out just how much I know by tuning into the Celluloid Heroes podcast, which is part of the Longbox Crusade podcast network. That's where I do a monthly show where I single out a movie and talk about the experience of seeing it in the theater for the first time and what it taught me about cinema, about life. Next month is going to be a special episode. It's going to be a double-sized, a very long one, where myself and David Alexander, who is the former managing editor of Rue Morgue magazine, are going to do a lengthy dissection of the 1981 fantasy classic Dragon Slayer. So you'll want to definitely check that out. But
good movie.
But we're about 6 episodes in so far, and it's going quite well. So check that out, and be sure to follow us on Instagram at the Celluloid Heroes Pod. I am not on X or whatever they're calling it now, or whatever the other one is, Blue Sky or anything like that. And because the Long Box Crusade has a robust Facebook page, I just let them do the posts. I just got to stay off of it. So
there you go.
Definitely check those things out and hit up my website, BradAbraham.com. I post show notes, videos, fun little clips from the individual episodes. So I hope to see you there and to hear from you. Write in, let me know what you think.
And Kevin, if people want to hear more from you.
Well, I am one of the co-founders of the Fandom Podcast Network. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube and check us out on Facebook. We're also on all of the socials at Fandom Podcast Network. You can find me. My name is Kevin. You can find me at Spartan_Phoenix, which is right there on all the socials, including recently on Blue Sky, Spartan Phoenix. But like Brad, I'm a huge fan of movies. And as I mentioned, we were just discussing BMX. We covered the ultimate BMX movie, American BMX movie, Rad, just recently on our movie podcast called Couch Potato Theater. And if you love canon films, they were very crucial to our fandom in the 80s and 90s video arena. We are paying tribute to select few canon films, and we recently just released American Ninja 1 and 2 on our Couch Potato Theater podcast, and that was a lot of fun. And we're going to be doing Cobra, as well as Masters of the Universe, Invasion USA. We just recorded Firewalker, and we'll also be doing Bloodsport. So make sure you check that out. And also, if you're a movie fan, check out our podcast called Time Warp, where we pick one year and discuss it each month all the way through the year of all the movies that came out that year, including all of the pop culture that surrounds that. And right now, we are currently doing the year of 1990, which is celebrating its 35th anniversary as of this recording. So make sure you check that out.
Very nice.
I don't like being reminded of that.
What's that, Brad?
I said I don't like being reminded that 1990 was 35 years ago.
Remember Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out, Ghost,
Total Recall.
Total Recall, yeah, a lot of films.
Goodfellas,
also
yeah,
Goodfellas, Adventures of Ford Fairlane, yeah, so a lot of stuff.
And Joe Jackson says, Cobra!
There you go.
And for me, I am on the Headcast Network. That's headcast.headspeaks.com. I've got this show, which is 3 parts. There's this Bravo Team, where we look at the special missions, plus anything else G.I. Joe related. And then we also have the Energon Protocols, which, again, I'm on episode 7, but we've actually recorded like 18 episodes. And Dave Martell's actually joined us on the recent episodes. So check that out. That's the Energon version of the G.I. Joe role-playing game. Eric's doing a great job incorporating Transformers and with the G.I. Joe universe, following up what the comic book is doing, as previously mentioned. I have my Head Speaks, which is, again, anything geeky. Next episode, which I got delayed, I'll be looking at the one of the Adam specials, and I will start looking at Animal Man soon. The Grant Morrison, his 26-issue run on Animal Man, which I thought was great. And I've got a couple other shows that are hit or miss at this point. But my Task Force X is ending here in the next couple of months. I've reaching the end of the Suicide Squad from the 80s, which I loved. So give me a little more time to ignore other things. But definitely check us out. As I've said earlier, you can send an email to gijoe@headspeaks.com. Let me know what you guys think. And I'm just making sure I've got everything. Yep.
One last thing, Aaron. I just want to mention. Shout out.
What's that?
I just want to shout out to you. You just released the first G.I. Joe Battle of Order podcast.
Oh yes,
that we did.
Recorded
and yeah, we're going to be doing that again. I hope soon and just a reminder. Obviously, there was a great panel. A lot of us are on there, and it took a while to get through just part of the first one. But we do start up with Doc next, just so you know. So yes, I look forward to being on those again, because those are a fun podcast of going through the Battle of Order and our memories of each of these characters and their action figures.
Yeah, it's very naive of me. I thought we'll get through maybe 2 episodes or 2 issues an episode. Yeah, it's more like one episode for 2 shows. So.
We're due to continue. Let's just say that.
Yes. So I will be getting back to that. Yes, I'm putting those in between. In fact, we need to record another of those soon. But anyways, yeah, definitely check it out. But I guess I'll do it until next month. Remember, from each of you guys, I'll let you get Yo Joe. Until next month, remember, knowing is half the battle. Yo Joe. Brad.
Yo Joe.
Kevin.
Yo Joe.
And that's going to do it.
G.I. Joe, a Real American Headcast, is available monthly on iTunes, Stitcher, and at headspeaks.com. All characters and stories are owned and trademarked by their respective owners. We claim no ownership other than our opinions. All audio and images are used for entertainment purposes and falls under fair use. We make no money from this headcast. For more of the monthly G.I. Joe, check out the IDW series. For the stories we're covering, look for the comics and trade paperbacks. Let us know what you think. Send us an email letting us know your thoughts. Joe's dismissed.